All right, guys, back for another one. Just a quick market update on the price action that has unfolded overnight. Before I get into that, please like and subscribe. Help me grow this channel. It would mean a lot. So let's get into it. BTC right now, you can see it rejected at that key pivot level overnight that I was discussing. So we failed to get above that on the H12. I was looking for that sort of flip of this level, flip of the trend. We didn't quite get it. Really looking for that flip above that 112,800 level as discussed yesterday. Now we did come down into that 110K level last night that I was discussing. Didn't actually catch an entry because it happened at about 2 a.m. my time, so I was asleep, unfortunately. I like to action things on market orders instead of limit. So we got that push. We immediately shot back up into the level and rejected again. And now we're just sort of chopping in here. So in saying that, what I want to cover, I drew up this little doodle for you. I'm not an artist by any means, so please be kind. But so what we're seeing right now, this is like a traffic light system. This is just a do nothing zone. I think, when you zoom in a low time frame, you start to sort of interpret every candle as meaningful. It's really not. I think majority of people do well just to stick to the 1 hour and the 4 hour. That's pretty much my bread and butter time frames. I sort of gauge higher time frames for where I'm looking for reactions to happen, but I'm always generally trading on the H1 or the H4. So do nothing in here. What I'm looking for really is that flip as discussed. I want to see that 112.8 level flipped. And until that happens, I'm not really doing anything. So the next option, that's sort of A scenario. Then we have B scenario, which is come down and sweep these equal lows down here. I think this makes for a better trade. Now what these equal lows are, so you can kind of interpret like people put their stops under these lows before the push up. Now if they're still holding that position, haven't taken any profit, their stops are still there. So price come down, front run that level, didn't sweep it and push back up again. So that's more people entering trades here with their stops under it. So think in terms of liquidity and where the market sort of seeks. The greater hand in the market, the big boys, not you and I, that want to fill their positions, they need a lot of liquidity to do so, to fill their orders. So what they generally do, they'll drive price down into these liquidity pockets like equal lows to get enough liquidity to push the market back up. A lot of people talk about double bottoms being strong. I actually think they're a bit of a meme. Basically because of what I just discussed. When you get double bottoms formed, there's more and more stops building under here. And eventually when price sweeps that, that's the opportunity. So right now, if we don't get that flip up here, I'm then looking for this down here, this sweep of this. I want to see a wick below and a close back above, or I want to see some sort of deviation. So price accepts under there for a bit before closing back inside. Then you have your invalidation. You know where to set your stop. If we get that, the next target I'm looking for is to drive up into that pivot level again at 112K. So some other scenarios we can look at too. So sort of a C and D scenario. I'm just looking this right now for local price action. So doing absolutely nothing until we break above here, or doing absolutely nothing until we sweep this. But in terms of scenarios deeper, we discussed that daily FEG on a prior stream. It's also the weekly noodle. So I've talked about the weekly noodle several times in past videos. Since 2023, we've never closed a body below it. And every time we've bounced into it, we have had a bit of chop, but it's generally marked the bottom for a push up into new highs. So you can see right now we're quite close to that. We're not quite there yet, but that lines up with that 104K level. So that's where I'm next looking for a trigger. If we start to close below 107 and we don't really have a bounce there, I'm then looking for this 104K level. Now the 98K level is sort of the deepest value opportunity I think you can get. And we'll go over why that is quickly. So you can see if I actually mark at that low here on the weekly time frame, that's that 98K low, you can see it lines up with the bottom of the noodle. So just as we've seen time and time again in the past, we want to see a sweep below the bottom of the weekly noodle and a close back inside. And that's what that 98K level offers. So this is where I think we basically want to see the market bottom. It's the worst case scenario, but I think it offers the deepest value as said. If we get down here and we start to close below that and we close below the weekly noodle, then pertaining to my system, I'd pretty much consider this cycle topped and we start a greater downtrend and potential bear market. So this is where I'm looking for to pick up spot. I think a lot of alts will absolutely look terrible down here, but what you want to do is choose the sort of strongest horses over the past few months. So if we get down here, I would look to pick up things like Hype, like ENA, like Link. We can also go over in a sec what you want to see at the bottom of that move. So you want to look for relative strength on a bounce, but we'll get to that in a bit. Just looking for that right now for BTC. They're all my scenarios. ETH, we failed to break above that 4,500 level overnight. You can see we just rejected there. And we have lost that pivot level. So we had this initial 4-hour bounce, which looked quite promising, but then we just completely engulfed it. Now we're trading under it. So I no longer consider this level good for long triggers. Even if we get back above this here, I'm not really going to long it. I'm really only looking for now a flip of 4,500 or a sweep of the equal lows down at 4,200. Pretty much the same sort of equal lows and same theory as I discussed with BTC. And as you can see here, we've just marked this out as a do nothing zone. So what I do think we might get is a push up into that level in one of today's sessions at 43.65. And I think if it starts to reject there on lower time frames, you can potentially look for a short targeting these equal lows down here. ETH BTC, we won't cover much, but you can see we failed to hold above the pivot. We did get above it. We sort of accepted above it, and then we immediately sold back below. So you can see by yesterday's squiggle, I just indicated that if we got this, then it would just lead to a bleed in altcoins and more chopping in this area. Pump is one we covered yesterday. You can see I took very nice profit overnight. This is one of my best trades of the last month. So what I actually did last night, I took profit into this wick here. Now the reason for that is I was staying up late. I was constantly looking at my unrealized P&L, which I never do. And that told me I was too emotionally attached to the position, and therefore I had to take some profit. So whenever you start to get really emotional about the profit you have and you get scared of losing it, that's always the best indication to take some off immediately. Whether that's a percentage or partials, totally up to you, but I saw we were 5% away from my intended target. The market was looking a bit shaky. This is the only thing really green on the day. And I thought, you know what, I've got to bank some. But you can see right now, like on the H1 Noodle, we've just trended up it very well since flipping it. So this is my chosen time frame for considering the trend ended on this and the run ended on this. So I'm still holding that 15% position, targeting the TP2 up at 0.47. But I think for now, all I'm really looking for is, if we form a lower high here, maybe we come down and close below the H1 Noodle. We start to close below and I'll cut the position. But for now, just holding a runner in case we do push up into the intended target. ENA was another one I covered yesterday, but that got stopped out for TP3 last night at break even. So I had TP1 and TP2, which is quite nice, but then the whole thing reversed overnight. And it's quite an ugly chart right now, so not something I'm looking to trade anymore. Solana was another one discussed yesterday too, but it's kind of just still doing the thing I was discussing. It's compressing between the daily noodle and that monthly level. No action until we get some resolution to the downside or the upside. So what this weird thing is before that I was showing you guys, this is a spaghetti chart. This just shows relative strength. So basically all of these is just an altcoin displayed in line chart. You can see this thick one down here in orange is BTC. So basically everything above it is outperforming BTC, everything below it is underperforming. So as a momentum trader, I'm always looking to long the outliers or, short the outliers if it's to the downside. But what I've done right here, you can actually drag this back to where the daily open is. For me, that's 10 a.m. my time. We can see off there what the best performer in the daily open has been. Now, so far it's Jelly Jelly. Pump was up there before as well. And sort of, when you look for relative strength to momentum trade, you basically want to sort of take these outliers. So Jelly Jelly is something I would add to my watch list for the day based on the relative strength it's displaying. But why I wanted to bring the spaghetti chart up is based on this. So if we get any sort of sweep into these levels, we get a breakout of this level, what you'll generally see is the whole market pukes. Now, I don't have a good example here because the market hasn't actually, dumped like that in a bit, like a big capitulation candle. But when it happens, you drag the spaghetti chart back on the left axis to where that dump happens. Let's just say it was here. And generally, you can see what the best performers are off the dump. And that's sort of where you want to park your money. So if this was the dump, you can see nearer ETH would have been the obvious outlier there and something we would have wanted to accumulate. So these things are really easy to build. I'll go over that in another stream. You basically just go up to the compare tool here and you can add all your symbols in manually. You can also just import like watch lists off exchanges for that. But yeah, the reason for showing it is just if we do get those pukes and you want to know where to put your money, I wouldn't go putting your money into things like Polkadot or whatever, just because it hasn't really shown any strength this cycle, even if you like the tech. You want to basically bank on the strongest horses over the past few weeks and months. So once again, if we get that sweep down into it, you're pulling at your spaghetti chart and you're seeing what has the strongest bounce, and you can anticipate that strength will probably continue. So that's pretty much it for me. Just wanted to give you guys a quick update before the weekend and what I'm seeing from overnight's price action. Please like and subscribe. If you want to get access to any of the trades and my market outlooks currently, Mars High Club, link in the description, check that out. Also, you get the Money Noodle indicator. Also, I have a whole bunch of these spaghetti charts made up. You can use them for all different things. Other than that, thank you, and I will see you next week. Hope you all have a lovely weekend. Cheers.